So, Max, hi. It is absolutely delightful to see you. And I'm just going to start by saying, you're not in the UK, are you? Do you want to just enlighten me and tell me where you are?
Yes, the reason I look a little bit sleepy is because it's about 9 a.m. for me right now. I'm in LA Santa Monica at the moment. We've got I think around three shows um here, and yeah, we're just in the middle of a North American tour. So yeah, that's where
Sounds
I am.
sounds incredible. Sounds very glad. But we're going to come back to that because I'd love to know more about who you're performing with and how did you get there. But I'd really like to take you back a little bit. And I mean, you've had quite an incredible journey to date, and some of it I know very well, having seen you in action, obviously from here at the Northern. But some of it, obviously, since leaving the school is leaving Northern School, things have probably taken you in numerous directions. But would you mind just taking us back a little bit and actually just talking about how you prepared for Northern and how did you get here? What was your journey like?
Um, so for me, I actually didn't really do much contemporary before I did like vocational training. So I was actually trained more in like street dance styles. Like that was like what I really was trained in. So yeah, I didn't even really know about dance schools. So I didn't really know that there was a difference between a school like Northern and like a university dance course. I didn't know really what the difference was. Um, yeah, well, I didn't do a CAT scheme. I didn't know what a CAT scheme was. I hadn't sort of been plugged into that sort of circuit before. Um, and then yeah, lovely woman called Laura helped me write the application and stuff in Plymouth. Um, So in terms of preparing, I remember I was really nervous about like doing classical classes because I hadn't really, it's not something I'd never done before, but I was definitely not experienced in it. So I was really nervous about that. Um, I'm say classical classes, I mean also sort of Cunningham and
Mm.
Graham and contemporary classes that I didn't feel very comfortable or have any knowledge in at all. So I was very nervous. Um, so yeah, I just did lots of. I actually did I think a 1 year like kind of foundation course in City College in Plymouth. Um, and just said to them, yeah, I've got these auditions booked for next year. I really want to get technically a little bit more proficient than I am, so I don't feel like a sore thumb in the studio or something like that at the audition. Um, yeah, so I think that's it really. I think I just really like yeah, I took lots of classes because I felt like I was going out of my comfort zone somewhat and uh
What a
yeah,
step to take. I mean, I encountered my first experience of you was seeing you through the process of the BBC Young Dancer. And that I thought, you obviously your journey to that point would have been, as you've expressed, the street, and then to think that actually coming to the Northern was a way in which you could broaden and not feeling like a sore thumb. So, did it match your expectations, exceed? How did you manage that journey into coming here? Because, of course, your styles were so different to what was being taught here. How did you manage that?
so I think in the beginning it was quite difficult especially the audition process. So I auditioned obviously for the three schools, like the three ones in the UK that I knew about, and had the first two, which was the two London ones, and I got rejected from both of them like straight away, you know. So like it was definitely and the audition was way harder than I thought it was going to be. Like it was really, really difficult, you know, and I didn't know any of the names of the steps and the vocabulary, and I couldn't like all of the exercises where that weren't at the bar where I couldn't see someone in front of me. I couldn't do because I just didn't have I don't know, I just didn't have the information in my body. Probably was in my own head a little bit as well. Um so yeah, it was really a bit scary. And then came to Northern and did the audition, which I felt was a bit more not relaxed, but I felt a bit more comfortable. Maybe because I'd done it twice before as well. Um, so I knew when I came in September, I kind of knew like, oh, okay, it is going to be a challenge. You know, you probably are going to be maybe a little bit more behind than uh, than other people. Um, but I actually found so it was really challenging for like I'll say like the first 3 weeks to a month. I
Mhm.
really felt myself like I was sore in places that I'd never ever I never ever like even knew I had, you know what I mean? Um, but then I did find very quickly like I got used to the regime and I got used to the class format, like do 2 classes a day. Um, it kind of I kind of got used to it quite quickly, and also it was because it was so new to me and because I felt anyway that everyone was on such a level already. I kind of I really just like asked questions after every class and booked in all the extra sort of extracurricular coaching and classes that I could. Like there was a ballet class after school that I went to every week, and I just sort of really like dived into it and actually came to really enjoy it. So I think it was those first 3 weeks were really kind of formative because it was like a way of and I realized that I could. It
Mhm.
wasn't actually it like the information wasn't necessarily that different from stuff I already knew. It was just in a different context. You know what I
Excellent.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really delightful to hear. And actually, we are trying to, as a school, kind of be that more inclusive because we know that not everyone comes from the same roots into this industry. So I'm delighted to hear that you did that and you've been persistent with it. So it definitely has. I mean, I had the pleasure of also seeing you inside the studio, and I can see actually you would never know that that was your beginning because of what you were demonstrating whilst you were moving. It's great, absolutely fantastic. I mean, proud of you, proud of the teaching that's gone in. So the two things definitely are working together. So you did 3 years, is that right? 3 years at the Northern or
No, I did four. So I did
four?
three. I did the undergraduate degree and then like a postgraduate thing with Verve. Um,
Excellent. Yeah,
yeah, no, it's wicked. I had a wicked time there.
fabulous. And then I guess after, what did you do after you left?
So after I left, I actually just like so in the run was when I was doing Verve, which is really great. We just I just applied for like everything that I could see. This was also post COVID, like it was
Mhm.
sort of was it post COVID or I think it was sort of during COVID, like just after COVID, you know. So there was sort of like there was a few things, you know, like a few auditions that were happening, and I just applied for everything basically. Um, because it was yeah, because you need to work, you know what I mean? Um, and I applied for this, so I applied for Akram Company's Jungle Book. Um, oh, hey man, you're right. How you doing? You good?
See what
We're
happens.
just gonna, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think it should be all right. Yeah, so I applied for the project that I'm on now. It's the Jungle Book. Um, and yeah, I was lucky enough to get the job. I was really thankful actually to the artistic director of um Verve at the time because he let me do some foolishness with the trains in order to get so I had to get a train uh in order to make it to the audition to the later stage of the audition as we progressed for the because it's like a week-long process, right?
Mhm.
He let me take a train in the morning uh to London on a show day. So we had a show in the evening in Leeds, and I would go from London all the way to no, from Leeds all the way to London, do like a bit of the rehearsal, a
Mhm.
bit of the audition, so, sorry, then get the train back at lunchtime and make it just in time for curtain up like every day.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
really thankful for him. He probably didn't know about that, but he let me do that, which
Wow,
is
that's
really,
massive.
really nice of him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know sometimes we have to do things that are a little bit extraordinary in terms of trying to achieve something, but that is big. I mean, on a show day as well, because you obviously don't want your dancers anywhere but in the theatre, getting ready for a show. So that must have been an absolute commitment to making sure that things, and actually, there's no guarantee the trains were going to get you where you needed to, So
Yeah. Well, the first, literally, we had to do it. I think I had to do it 3 times, and the first time, um, like the train was late. So like, basically, I was on the train, and then
warming up on the train.
yeah, and then we got an announcement that said, "Oh, it's not going to call it Leeds. It's just going to call it Doncaster." Everyone's got to get out, and it was really scary for a little bit of time,
Oh.
but we did make it. Luckily, we did manage to do it.
And actually, the project that you did all of that work for has now materialized in you being in America. Is this the same
Yeah,
project, or is it? So you're working with Akram Khan, one of the greatest choreographers of our time, and you are now dancing with his company. So,
yeah, exactly. So like, he really, really nice to me, to be honest with that. Like, I think if had a different director, I probably wouldn't have let that slide and let that happen. So it was really, really grateful to for him letting me do that. Yeah.
it's massive. And you're on a national tour, international tour, actually. You're on an international tour with Jungle Book Production.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just give us a little bit of an insight into what's going on there.
It's really, really great actually. I think we've been like so we started this tour in April 2021, I
Oh,
think.
wow.
Wait, is that right? Maybe 2022.
22. 22.
I
It
think it was
came out
2022. Yeah,
22.
yeah, yeah. I can't be right. Can't be 2022. So we've been on tour for about a year and a half already. Um, and yeah, it's just been absolutely incredible. I can't like stress that enough, really. Um, it's sort of very, very surreal, actually, a lot of the time, because you go to all these amazing places for work, which is sort of really yeah, definitely a blessing. And then also to be able to like in the even before the tour, like so the run up to the tour was like from January, we just were in creation, and that was uh yeah, just so like I learned loads, you know what I mean, and I really like was able to um yeah, work with someone that I find very inspiring, and that was like a whole before it came to traveling all around Europe and Asia and in all these amazing places. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I think you have to enjoy the boring bit, like just being on your own and practicing and working stuff out. I think that's really important to like to actually love doing that, and not always to love doing it, because sometimes you don't want to do it, and that's fair. That's fine, I think. But I think uh yeah, I think really to enjoy the the nature of the process of being an artist, of whatever it is. If you're a sculptor, then you should enjoy making sculptures, and if you're a painter, you should enjoy painting. I think it's the same with dance. You should really enjoy dancing
Mhm.
if um if that's what you do. And this show, I mean, we've been doing this show now for a year and a half. It's the same show. It doesn't really change.
Mhm.
Changes here and there. Akram will, if he sees it, he'll change. He'll tinker a little bit. He'll change a count to 4 instead of 5, which is really annoying. But it's these kind of things change.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to find sometimes you don't want to you don't want to do it because it's the same shows. We've done I think maybe 125. I think it's tonight is the
Wow.
125th show. So you have to find something new every time, and that's it is, yeah, really difficult sometimes, but also really inspiring to be able to find,
Mhm.
okay, how am I going to do it this time? How am I going to do the same steps this time in a different way? You know what I
Excellent.
mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think those that are listening to you say that will just be, I hope, inspired to know that someone of your caliber could actually find such passion and reward in the basics, because that's the sustainability of it. But then the beauty of it is when you get onto stage, there's got to be something new. It's a new audience. They're going to take it in a new way. So those two things can marry really well. And I'm glad to hear you say that. And actually, I would imagine for young artists coming up that that's a great bit of advice. What else would you add to that? What else would you kind of give the younger generation now that, I mean, you're not that old yourself, so your generation, what advice would you give them in terms of, that substance and how they're going to sustain themselves for the future?
Um, there's like so much things that you can say, I think, to like, oh, you should do this, and you should yeah, you should eat this kind of food, and you should like do, and I think, to be honest, I think people, most of the other stuff people figure out really like what works for you, because what works for me is definitely not going to work for other people. But I think there is some things like I don't know, I mean, for me, like practicing every day, I think that's so useful, even if it's just 10 minutes.
Mm.
That's 10 minutes more than you would if not, if you didn't do it, you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
moving slowly is better than not moving at all. So if you've not got the time to do a contemporary class every single day, or you've not got found a teacher, just find something on YouTube and do 10 minutes, do 15 minutes, build slowly. So don't, if you've decided that I'm gonna practice every single day, don't practice on the first day for 3 hours. Just do 10 minutes and then do 20 minutes the next day and 40 minutes and so forth, because you can you can really gas out early if you want to do this kind of thing every single day. So there's all that kind of stuff that's, I think, yeah, practice and work hard, and kind of probably just said like find new things in it. And I like what you said about the basics, like find enjoyment in the simple things and the basics. But the main thing is just don't stop.
Mm.
Just don't stop doing it, because like, you know, I'd be lying if I said to you that I've not had moments where I've sort of fallen out of love with it, uh and really found a lot of frustration in not getting certain things or not achieving certain things with it. But if you just keep going, then like it won't. That's the one thing that will keep you through. You know what I mean? So I remember I had like a period in when I was about 14 or 15, I think, where I stopped quite a lot. Like really wasn't dancing very much. Um, but then I found it again, and it had this sort of new motivation for it. Um, and I think, yeah, if nothing else, just stay consistent and just stay loving it, stay doing it, and you will find what you need to find from it. You know what I mean?
Very wise words.
Yeah. I hope so.
Very wise words. And I actually, everyone is an individual, as you really clearly pointed out. So you got to map out your own journey. And
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
And I think like in the face of, I know that auditioning to schools, it's like really scary, because it's putting yourself in a position where you could fail at something, and you could not achieve something. Um, which is kind of scary, you know what I mean? Because you could feel, okay, well, if I don't get into these schools, what am I going to do next year? And you can get in your head. And I was in my head about that, and that's natural, I think. But there's always next year, it's not gonna the schools aren't really going anywhere. They're gonna stay around. And yeah, like just roll the dice, you know what I mean? It's like, and if you just keep going at something, it's gonna happen, you know what I mean?
Max, it's been an absolute pleasure not just speaking to you here today in this early morning. I'm sure you're just getting up ready for the day starting your show, your 125th show. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you as part of the Northern School of Contemporary Dance. And, you'll never be a stranger to us. So I hope you will always come back and give us your wisdom, your words of wisdom, and your presence as well, which is very much the determination that you've demonstrated through what you've done has been phenomenal. So really, thank you very much for taking time out to speak to us as well. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you for asking me. It's an honor, pleasure, and an honor.
That's amazing.